Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are completely leaving our comfortable living rooms behind. We're transporting ourselves to the rugged, completely untamed edge of southwestern Ireland. Just imagine stepping off a tour bus and bam, immediately realizing you are definitely not in Kansas anymore. Now, what we're looking at today isn't just a breakdown of a simple round of golf. Oh no, this explainer is about an epic, almost literal struggle against nature itself. We're going to follow the four-play crew as they face off at the historic Waterville Golf Links. And we'll see exactly how extreme elements can turn a friendly, everyday match into an absolute, unforgettable battle for survival.
Now, the atmospheric dread waiting for the guys on the coast was, well, it was palpable. This absolutely wasn't a day for a casual stroll, let alone playing a precision sport. The text we're analyzing paints this incredibly vivid picture of the sky as this heavy, bruised gray. The crew wasn't just dealing with a light, annoying drizzle. They were walking straight into relentless, freezing rain that was blowing completely sideways. You really have to visualize the sheer, roaring volume of that Atlantic Ocean to even grasp the magnitude of what they were walking into.
So you've got to wonder who is brave enough to tee off in conditions like this. Well, this was officially dubbed Match 2 at Waterville. The four-play crew split up into pairs, with Trent and Riggs jokingly branding themselves Team Double Ham. You know, this raw meat lovers combo ready to just grind out a victory. Now, I want to emphasize here they were actually riding pretty high, coming fresh off a really nail-biting win at Tralee. But as we're about to see, the Irish coast absolutely loves to humble the confident. They stepped onto that first tee completely oblivious to just how brutal the course was going to be that day.
And here's the crucial point. This wasn't just for fun. While pride and, of course, vengeance were definitely on the line between these friends, there was a very real, tangible stake. We're talking a crisp €100 a man. When you're out there freezing, soaked to the bone, and just getting battered by the wind, knowing there's actual cash on the line, not to mention the endless bragging rights of taking it from your buddies, man, it adds a seriously sharp competitive edge to every single swing.
To even survive out there, the players had to undergo a massive strategic transformation. They had to completely ditch the American style of golf they're so used to. You know the one, those pretty, high-flying looping shots that look absolutely incredible on TV, but are a total liability in a roaring Irish gale. Instead, they had to immediately pivot to proper links golf. We're talking gritty, low-to-the-ground shots that physically pierce through the wind rather than getting caught up and thrown around in it.
And this major strategic shift? It was absolutely necessary, because literally every single hole presented a brand new crisis engineered by this brutal landscape. The wind out there wasn't just a stiff breeze, it acted like a physical solid backboard, literally snatching shots midair and violently tossing them into deep, completely unforgiving gorse bushes. And hey, if you somehow miraculously made it to the green, good luck. They were lightning fast, violently ripping even perfectly struck putts right off the closely shaved grass. Nature was literally fighting them for every single inch.
Throughout the day, the guys went on this incredibly rapid physical and psychological descent. Starting at T1, they're confident, they're joking around. But by the time they hit the back nine, totally frozen, completely numb. The weather just slowly strips away all the pretense, leaving nothing but a pure, raw battle of wills by the time they reach the 18th hole. But hey, don't worry too much. There's a very warm resolution waiting at the end of the day.
To actually navigate this mess, the guys needed a real survival strategy. And honestly, their tactics were way less about athletic prowess and way more about sheer desperation. You just have to picture them leaning on their local caddies, almost like therapists. The source material notes they were halfway between joking and literally begging, desperately trying to decode the invisible shifts in the gale. And incredibly, it worked just enough. It allowed one team to edge into the lead, only for the other to claw right back with these miraculous, borderline impossible par saves.
Yet, right in the middle of this freezing, miserable grind, we need to take a quick breather because the explainer material takes a beat to remind us of something incredibly important, the profound, raw beauty of where they actually are. Out there, suffering in the howling wind and the rain, the landscape starts to reveal its deep magic. It isn't just a hostile, punishing environment. It's a place so steeped in wonder that it actually manages to momentarily distract them from the bitter cold. The caddies and their drivers serve almost like mystical guides out there, pointing out the insanely rich history sewn directly into the land itself. As they were marching through these massive dunes, they were shown a striking church off to the right, named not after some saint, but after the great Irish emancipator Daniel O'Connell. And even cooler than that, their driver was whispering local lore, pointing out these jagged, misty islands just slicing through the ocean waves right offshore. Those very islands. That's exactly where Luke Skywalker hid away in the recent Star Wars films.
It's just this surreal, amazing blend of pop culture, deep history, and raw nature.
But, of course, the magic of the dunes couldn't stop the temperature from just plummeting. By the time they hit the final stretch of that back nine, the elements had taken a massive chunk out of everyone. We are talking fingers completely, totally numb, ears freezing solid in the wind, clothes entirely soaked right through by the sideways rain. The physical toll was just absolute, and this perfectly sets the stage for an incredibly dramatic climax. Because playing a high-level precision sport when you can't even feel your own hands, it's basically impossible.
And yet, against all the odds, the match completely refused to fracture. When they finally marched up to that 18th tee, soaking wet and absolutely freezing, I mean, the script couldn't have been written any tighter by a Hollywood screenwriter. They were dead even, completely all square. After all the lost golf balls, the absolutely impossible par saves, and the intense physical suffering, the entire day was riding on this one final hole. The tension, with €100 in total pride on the line, was completely off the charts.
The 18th hole was an absolute masterpiece of tension. First off, every single movement felt insanely heavy, swinging directly against a howling wind coming right off the beach. Second, they had to push through total exhaustion just to safely navigate the final hazards. And finally, the whole shebang boiled down to a classic, super dramatic putting contest right on the 18th green. Just one last clutch roll of the golf ball to seal the fate of the entire day and bring this legendary, grueling matchup to a close.
Following that legendary finish, the competitors meet on the green. They shake hands. And really, the main takeaway from this battle isn't just about who pocketed the cash or who hit the most highlight reel shot. No, it's about the fact that they are exhausted, shivering, and deeply, truly bound by the shared trauma of the Irish coast. Going through a grueling trial like that, it completely strips away anything superficial and leaves this incredibly genuine, lifelong connection among friends.
But thankfully for everyone involved, the story does not end out on the freezing grass. Now, we experience a massive tonal shift in our narrative. Just an hour later, they trade the brutal outdoors for the ultimate sanctuary, Dooley's. This is a legendary, warm, beautifully amber-lit traditional pub just down the road. That freezing, rain-battered landscape suddenly becomes a distant memory as they crowd inside, instantly greeted by the welcoming, cozy glow of the pub.
This right here is the ultimate reward for their suffering. Proper pints of dark Guinness are poured, the heavy rain which literally just an hour ago was soaking them to the bone is now just beating harmlessly against the window panes. And to top the whole thing off, Francis Ellis finds this old piano sitting in the corner. As he hits the keys and completely fills the pub with music, you can practically feel the freezing cold of the Atlantic completely washing away from the crew.
The freezing rain, the numb fingers, the countless lost golf balls. Look, it was all voluntary suffering, sure, but it was really just the required payment for an unforgettable, deeply bonding experience. Like the source material perfectly puts it, they didn't just survive the worst weather of their lives. They earned a memory that could only be forged in the roaring, chaotic crucible of the Irish coast.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought today. When you look at the entire picture, the sheer agony of the freezing wind, the intense frustration of the game, completely followed by the amber-lit warmth of a traditional pub and the deep bond of shared survival, would you do it? Is the grueling, physically painful trial against nature actually worth the warmth of the ultimate reward at the end? It's a really fascinating look at exactly why we put ourselves through extreme challenges and how sometimes the absolute toughest days make for the best stories. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep seeking out those unforgettable stories.